And welcome back to Across the Board here for our second episode. Uh, Myself, Jaden Gray, with my co-host,
Easton Viator.
and tonight we got a lot to cover. Um, we'll start off with some MLB news, and then we'll go to the NFL, and then a little bit about the NHL, and then most part of the night we will be talking about college football. No surprise there. But first, we got to go through the rest of the news. So just wanted to mention some deals signed in the MLB, and Easton, you can talk about those.
Got a few of them. We'll run through them real quick. Devin Williams signed a 3-year deal going to the New York Mets. Alex Manoah signed a 1-year deal as he's headed to the Angels. Cody Ponce signed a 3-year deal with the Blue Jays. Cedric Mullins signed a 1-year deal going to Tampa Bay. And Emilio Pagan signed a 2-year deal with the Reds.
Yep, all interesting signs there. We'll see how they do in the next coming year. Obviously, there will be more moves in the coming months before opening day. So, moving on from MLB to the NFL. I just wanted to mention a couple things there that happened this week. First of all, Adam Thielen got signed to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Good pickup for him.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure, right? He's retiring after this year, isn't he?
If I'm positive, yes, he was at Minnesota. I think they claimed him,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, beginning season or off season. They signed him to
Yeah,
Minnesota from Carolina, and then they put him on waivers, and Pittsburgh picked him up.
yeah. He's gonna finish his amazing career at as a Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll see how that goes. Maybe they'll make the playoffs, go 9-8 again, something like that.
Yes.
Then also Pittsburgh news was that they released Darius Slay. Man,
There's interesting news there. Darius Slay was released and picked up by Buffalo on Wednesday, and he did not report that he's pondering his NFL future, depending on what he wants to do next, and that's something that we'll keep up with as time goes on.
yeah, I thought that was interesting because I mean he's good. So like, I I, I don't know I don't know what's happening at Pittsburgh, but
Hmm.
they're making some moves. We'll see if that helps them at all. I think Aaron Rodgers might need to do a little bit better for them to, you know,
Hmm.
up their game. But we'll see how that goes. Obviously, NFL Week 14. I did want to mention. I think it's the most interesting week of all the weeks so far this year. Some great matchups. Actually,
Hmm.
right now playing is Detroit and Dallas, and
Dallas.
good game. Good game. Detroit's up 17-9.
Hmm.
Jared Goff's actually tossing the ball around tonight. Seems like they're on the move right now, actually. But yeah, yeah. So moving on from the NFL to the NHL, and Easton.
Hmm. I mean, this year, this is probably one of the most fun years to watch hockey. We talk about the big thing is the playoff picture. Still, there are only a lot of teams are about 28 games of the season with an 82 game season ahead of them. But you kind of look at the playoff standings as it is; it's so clumped up. You look in the Eastern Conference, all teams within 10 points of each other. It's really
Yeah.
competitive. Week in and week out, you can see teams move in and out of playoff spots, and it's just exciting to watch. Tampa's leading the Atlantic after a very rough start to their season. They turned that around quickly. Um, just a fast turnaround for a John Cooper team, which is what we always expect, and nothing less. Um, and kind of starting, and next in the Atlantic is Montreal, a young team that's just shining. Cole Caulfield, absolute athlete, can do it all on the ice. Has been a big factor for this team and huge. Third in the Atlantic's Ottawa, another young team that's got it turned around. Linus Olmark leading the way in net for them, and they finally got Brady Kachuk back with Tim Stutzla, and excited to see that group move along the ice. In the Metro, you got Carolina, another team. Doing what they usually do. Sebastian Aho, another good lineup. Expect them to be a playoff team, usual. Washington Capitals, uh, Ovi going for one more year, and big story Logan
Yep.
Thompson. Great netminder, playing really well this
Mm-hmm.
year. Uh, Definitely on the talk for the Canada roster, the national Canada roster. So something to
Yeah.
keep up with as we get closer to that time. And then Philadelphia, another young team doing well. Um, Turn their season around fast, and I mean, exciting. The whole East, exciting conference. You moved to the wild card spot with New Jersey,
Mhm.
Jacob Markstrom in net. Another team who's turned it around the last couple of years, playing great hockey still. Um, another fun team to watch. I mean, taking the final wild card spots, Pittsburgh, um, a team that after last year very disappointing. Didn't expect much this year. Made a fast turnaround. Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, another team that what looked like a very unpromising season last year, able to turn around really fast. Like a lot of these teams in the East, though. I mean, you got the Islanders, Boston, the Rangers, all sitting right behind them. And one night to the next, I mean, we could see these teams flip flopping out of these spots. So I think it's going to be something exciting to see. Um, we move to the Central Division where the big talk, the big storyline of the year, Colorado got only one loss in regulation this year at 8-1-6 or 18-1-6 with 44 points. I mean, what a year! The goaltending, Scott Wedgwood playing well, switching goalies week in and week out every night. I mean, getting great goaltending. I mean, just it's constant. One of the best teams in the league. Nathan McKinnon, Kale McCarr, Marty Natchez, just playing well every week. And I mean, it's only been getting better. Dallas, back where we expect him to be.
Yeah.
Fired Peter DeBoer earlier this year, let him go. But very exciting to see that team doing what they usually do, and I expect them to be in the playoffs. Minnesota, Wild, the three teams that are always seems to be a top Central Division. Um, Wallstead playing absolutely amazing in net. I
Yeah.
mean,
Still there.
a yeah, I mean a young prospect last year that only got a few chances to play, but this year, um, I mean, just outstanding. I mean, just unreal how he's playing. Definitely a huge difference maker for this team, as they were also off to a slow start of the season. I think that at one point they had only scored 6 goals in 5 home games to
Mhm.
start their season. It's very slow.
Yeah.
But I mean, to see them turn around, I mean, Wallstead playing amazing. Something definitely to look into. We moved to the Pacific Division. Anaheim, what a surprise! I think, I mean, no one would not have even crossed my mind. Would not have even been a thought that Anaheim would be leading the Pacific Division. Leo Carlson, Logan Dostal, a very young team playing extremely good hockey. I mean, they played well this year, and I hope, of course, going to be exciting to see if they can keep this pace up and get into the playoffs. They have had a drought. Vegas, another team that's really had an up and down season, off to a good start. Hit a huge mountain. It seemed like over a stretch was playing good hockey, just couldn't get bounces going their way. Carter Hart makes his first start Tuesday night, and they went in a shootout 4-3. Just ready to see the season turn around. It seems like they're pushing and fighting through the season, and I think Bruce Cassidy is going to get this team rolling, and Mark Stone returned to the lineup, so a big addition for them. Um, and then you got the Los Angeles Kings, Anze Kopitar, Adrian Kempe, uh, Darcy Kemper, another team that I think sitting where they usually are, it feels like every year. Um, ready, still playing good hockey, expecting to be in the playoffs, and uh, they've played well this year. Now I move to the wild card spot where a big surprise, San Jose sitting there in the first wild card spot. Macklin Celebrini and Askarov, uh, just what a year. I mean, they've started off well, and Macklin Celebrini's playing well. Askarov's playing absolutely amazing. And this team finds himself in a wild card spot in a year that where we thought, they at the beginning of the season, I believe 07-1 around. I mean, but they've
Mhm.
turned this around fast, and it's really exciting to see this young team playing really well. And then Utah, back where they are, Vejmelka, Dylan Gunther, Keller, uh, a young team playing really well, and definitely because I think see a lot of change in these wild card spots. And just sitting outside Chicago, another young team with Connor Bedard playing well, um, Spencer Knight playing well in net. I think we're watching a lot of exciting hockey and a lot of flip flopping in that wild card spot, and I think it's like I said, this is the year to watch hockey.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just seems to be, man. There's a lot of close teams there, and pretty much anything can happen till now
Mhm.
to the playoffs.
Mhm.
I did want to do we did do stress meter for college basketball on Monday, but we're gonna bring it to NHL. So I'll mention some teams to you, and you rate them on how much you're stressed about them, and yeah. So starting off, we'll go with Vegas.
Mhm.
What do you think about them?
I would say a couple weeks ago, I was thinking around a 4 or 5.
Hmm.
Definitely felt, not the same. Was definitely going through a stretch, but upcoming these past couple of games and watching them play the last week, it's gone down like a 2. I think great addition of Carter Hart being added to the lineup. Akira Schmidt's
Hmm.
playing well. Mark Stone back in the lineup. I mean, this was a good hockey team playing well. They were playing good hockey, just weren't getting the bounces their way, and it seemed like they put together a lot of good shifts and have a lot of great chances, and then it'd go the other way, and next thing you know, we're already down in the game, we're trailing. But I think this team's got turned around. I mean, I would so to answer the question, I think it'd be a 2.
Yeah, yeah, they play a lot of good hockey, just a lot of overtime games, a lot of shootouts that they lose.
Goodness.
Next team, the Oilers.
Um, we a lot. We look back to last season with this team off to a slow start, and they were able to crash back into the playoff race and end up going to Stanley Cup final, losing again.
Yeah.
But this year just feels a little different. The energy doesn't seem there. It doesn't seem out of bounds. McDavid and Drysdale are having a lot of time on the ice. Stuart Skinner's not playing well this year. Um, their power play's been good, 28.8%, and their penalty kill is sitting right at 81%. The thing is, their goals against average sits at 3.43 a game, and just not getting the goaltending that they need. Stuart Skinner hasn't played well. Um, but we look at last year, and I don't really know if it's much of a as it's much of a defensive issue this year, but a big struggle for Edmonton last year, going to the playoffs was defense. They won a lot of games off high scoring, but the defense didn't seem to be showing up for them. So, this year the energy just feels different. It doesn't seem like there's a bounce. Um, but I think this is a veteran group who can still get this turned around. But it doesn't feel the same as last year, and it feels like if they want this to turn around, they got to do it fast. And I think it's gonna be up to Stuart Skinner and the goaltending to get this turned around. I'm to answer. I'm sitting at like a 4.
Yeah, makes sense. Now the Panthers.
A team that definitely not what we expected from them to be 12. I believe 12-1 at this point in the season.
Hmm.
Bobrovsky has not played amazing at the start of the season, but he's slowly gotten better. They're at 3.18 goals against average per game. Um, and a big problem for them is obviously Matthew Tkachuk not in the lineup really hurts them.
Yeah.
Um, but only 19.1% on the power play, kind of sit in the middle of the pack. Um, Again, though, a veteran group, Brad Marchand and Bob Rofsky is going to play better. I know he will. So I'm kind of sitting at around the 2.
Not
I
too
think they
worried
get it
about them.
turned around fast,
Yeah,
but and especially how the race in the East is. I mean, all teams are so compact together. I think they
true.
can make a jump and go for it.
For sure, for sure. They're not out of it.
Mhm.
Now Toronto.
A team that very just seemed like not a lot of energy there. Um, a big surprise. I mean, a team that I was hoping would be, have a little more of a jump. They're allowing 3.42 goals a game. Goaltending hasn't been amazing, but it's gotten
Yeah.
better. Um, they're only 15.5% on the power play. Austin Matthews being out of the lineup really hurt them, but he's back in the lineup. But I'm still a little concerned about this team. They really haven't played up to standard, and as good as the East has been this year, as good as the league is this year, I think it's going
Hmm.
to be hard for them to get a turnaround. Um, do I think they can do it? Yes, but I think it's going to be a tough road ahead of them. But for me, I'm at a 6.
Yeah. And now finally the Jets.
Jets have had a rough one. They've uh, Connor Hellebuck being out, a huge loss for them. Um,
Hmm.
star goalie, played in the Four Nations last year for the United States. Or no, excuse me. Yeah, no, the United States. Played really well for them. I mean, good netminder and huge for this. I mean, he's a huge foundation for this Winnipeg team.
Hmm.
Um, he's put on IR. Since then, Winnipeg's 2-5-1 since him getting put on the IR. Um, a big loss for him. And a team that's
Yeah,
sitting on the outside looking
definitely.
in again, and they need to turn around fast. 21% on the power play, 83% on the penalty kill. Special teams not really big of an issue here, and only allowing 2.94 goals a game, but that's gone up since the departure of Hellebuck. But I think once Hellebuck gets back, I think this team can get back to where they were. Um, but again, it's going to need to be a nice big push to get this turnaround. So I'm sitting at a 5.
Yeah, they could do it, but just gonna take a little bit of work there. Big loss for them. Well, that pretty much covers the NHL. So now we'll move on to the biggest part of the show, and that being college football. Already talked about a ton of it on Monday, and got a lot of different reactions from it, but we got a lot more to talk about. I mean, we're closing in on the end of the season here, and it only gets busier and busier. To start off with, yesterday was National Signing Day. Exciting, really exciting part of the season, and just a couple of names and stuff that we wanted to bring up. First of all, Jared Curtis, quite a flip, quite a flip. I don't know about you, but I mean, I know it came out the other day that that could happen. I wasn't expecting it. I mean, it was a surprise to me. I don't know about you.
Definitely surprised me.
But hey, great for Vandy football, man. I mean, it might just be on the rise, but great for them. Flipping from Georgia to Vandy, insane. I also wanted to bring up one of the stories for this week that came out today that I thought was really interesting. Legend Bay, an athlete that was committed to Ohio State, wanted to go there, and come to find out today that he can't because his mother won't sign his letter of intent to go there because he's under 18. So instead, he is going to Tennessee where he does not want to go. Interesting story here. I don't know if I've ever heard of somebody having to go to a place that they don't want to go and they don't want to play. I mean, that's insane to me. But he did say that once he turns 18, he will transfer to Ohio State. So I guess if you're Ohio State, you're just waiting for him to turn 18.
That's that's definitely an interesting story. I mean, I don't think I've never heard anything like that before.
Yeah, it has to be one. It has to be first. Like it. I don't know. I've never heard of anything like that. That's insane to me for your mother not to sign your letter of intent form. But yeah, that was a really interesting story. Obviously, National Signing Day had a lot of signees, a lot of good good classes this year. USC sitting at the top of those. I don't know about you, but I mean, Lincoln Riley can bring in some guys. We've
Mhm.
known that for a while, ever since he was at Oklahoma and going to USC. I mean, he can recruit. What do you think about that for them?
I mean, we know what he can do. I mean, we're watching it right now. I mean, obviously leading the top of the recruiting class,
Hmm.
bringing these athletes. I mean, USC's on the rise, and I mean,
Yeah.
they've been a good program. Obviously, last year a little bit of a kind of a letdown for them, but I think this
Hmm.
year bringing good recruits. I think I mean, and even having a solid year this year, I think I mean moving forward they'll still be a high quality program.
Oh yeah. I mean, only one 5 star, and he hasn't signed yet, but 21 4 stars, which is insane. Sitting right behind them, a couple of other ones, Oregon, Notre Dame, and Alabama. They all have the most 5 stars committed to them, four to be exact. And then fifth, no surprise, Georgia. I'm pretty sure though, last news I heard, they dropped down to sixth, and that would be the lowest ranked recruiting class for Kirby Smart.
That's
Interesting.
interesting, but I
I
mean,
mean, hey, for your lowest recruiting class to be six is insanely talented. I mean, that's insane. That's how great Kirby Smart in Georgia is. Um, but yeah, I mean, gosh, that was. That was interesting. To round out the top 10 here, Ohio State, Tennessee, and then Texas, who has the second most five stars signed to them, three, one including five-star Dia Bell, the quarterback. So one of the most sought after recruits since Arch Manning for Texas. So
Mm.
we'll see if that works out. It should be the guy after Arch, depending if Arch stays another year and plays. Should get some good talent there. And then Texas A&M and Miami. A couple other things I wanted to mention. 12 LSU right now. I mean, it's good for them. Obviously, Lane Kiffin moving there, taking a lot of the guys from Ole Miss. Should be pretty interesting to see. Um, we'll say that Dylan Purder got kind of stolen from them today. Four-star safety that flipped from LSU to Florida. With Florida sitting right there at 15. Good recruiting class for them, especially for John Summerall coming in. That's one thing that Billy Napier did really well at Florida was recruit. So he left that program in a great spot. Left Summerall with a lot of guys. Only lost one recruit. Well, as of right now. So that's big for him. We will talk about Billy Napier a little bit more in just a second.
Mm.
Um, and then I thought it was interesting that Washington was at 13. I do not know who their five star is off the top of my head, but they do have one. So that will be interesting to see. Um, yeah, and so now we move on to the the coaching carousel. It's like a carousel that never stops spinning. It's insane
I
and
feel like it just grows every day. I mean,
oh,
there's just
it
I feel
does.
like
I think there's
I feel like
more and more horses on that thing every day.
I'm just it feels like I'm adding more names to this list every day.
And it won't end anytime soon. That's the thing. I mean, we'll keep at this until the beginning of the next season. So yeah, insane week for coaches.
Mhm.
I think the carousel is getting overloaded at this point, but not much. At least I don't think there's a ton more coaches that could possibly move out there, but we know there will be. Um, Speaking of coaches that don't move, one thing I did forget to mention was Penn State
It sounds about to.
National
I mean,
Signing Day yesterday.
that's
Hmm.
I was gonna bring up kind of talk about the coaching carousel, kind of like just beginning with that. Like, I mean, one of the first, I think one of the second teams to fire a coach. I believe UCLA was first, but I mean,
I think
first
Penn
to
State
fire.
was first, actually. I think Penn State fired James Franklin before UCLA, if I'm correct.
I think UCLA fired their coach, and then James Franklin got beat by the intern that week,
Maybe so. Yeah,
and
yeah,
then.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, you talk about it, the second team to lose a coach in the season, and they're still haven't found a guy yet. Um, and sitting at 150 in the recruiting ranks. I mean,
I,
that's
I there's only
just something
just
we
to
weren't
mention there's
really.
only 136 FBS teams. I mean, not going to say much there, but that means there's 14 FCS schools ahead of them in recruiting rankings. They had two guys sign yesterday. Two guys. They lost another guy.
It's a big problem in Happy Valley. I mean, you know, have not been able to find a guy first off, but then
Mm-mm.
you're sitting right there in recruiting. I mean, this program took a tumble. Um,
Yeah.
that's just something you hate to see, and it's tragic.
Yeah, they've put themselves in the dumpster. It's not good for them. They need to find a coach, and that coach, whoever it is coming into a program with not much uprise right now. They'll have to use the transfer portal. I mean, gosh, I can only imagine that they're going to have to fill a lot of jerseys with good players if they want to be good next year. Um, because yeah, two recruits as of right now. Obviously, James Franklin taking most of them from them, going to Virginia Tech. Uh,
And
I
I
I
believe,
believe Virginia Tech's sitting at like
30th or
22.
25th.
Yeah, I
They
think I
they
think it was 22,
One
which
of the
is
crazy
insane.
stories. I mean, I think they were sitting at like 125th, and then James
Yeah,
Franklin got hired, and they skyrocketed. I mean,
yeah.
that's insane.
It just tells you how much James Franklin meant to the Penn State recruits and the guys there. I mean, I can only imagine how many guys are going to transfer from Penn State to Virginia Tech. There's probably going to be some of those too. So right
Yeah,
now, Virginia Tech, bottom of the bottom right now. They got to find a coach. I mean, it's the truth of the matter. They've got to find
I,
one.
I mean, I think the last what we last we heard, I believe them and Matt Campbell have been in communication in the last 24
Hmm.
hours, but I mean, we don't know how that'll settle in. And I just think, I mean, I just don't know. That's a rock bottom. I mean, you've only got, you know,
Exactly.
you're 150. I mean, only 150th in the recruiting rankings. You've only got two commits. I mean, you got to do a lot of building to go there.
Oh yeah, I'd take another shot at a Big 12 coach again. Obviously, took a shot at BYU's coach, didn't get him. So I
Went to
guess
Matt
we'll see
Campbell,
if,
and
yeah, I guess we'll see if Matt Campbell wants to go. Would be an interesting move. I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see in the coming days.
hmm,
Well, moving on from Penn State though to a little bit of a more positive note for coaches. Um, I mean, there's a lot of them again this week, but
man,
I did want to bring up some smaller notices right now. Um, Stanford's coach. Stanford hired a coach this week. He's from the where was he? He was a
he's from
NFL.
the Washington Commanders and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
offensive, I believe, quarterback coach, and
yeah.
he was an
I
alumni.
think so.
He was actually, it's funny, he sat behind Andrew Luck at college when he was at Stanford, and Andrew Luck came back and hired him.
I, hey, I mean, it's how you do it, right? If you're Andrew Luck, might as well.
Yeah,
Pritchard, right? That's his name.
yeah, Tavito Pritchard.
Being, yeah. Next one we want to bring up is Blake Baker. I think we mentioned him on Monday a little bit
We
for the
did,
Tulane job.
yeah. He was, I believe, interviewed by Memphis, but right now he's
Yeah,
sitting as the favorite to take over the Tulane job. But
yeah.
that's and kind of going back to the recruiting thing. Right now, Lamar Brown um, has not signed with LSU yet. He's still waiting to make. Basically, talking about the staff that's going to be there. How big of a flip?
Sure,
Well, what happens if Blake Baker does leave for the Tulane job, or leaves
sure.
for another coaching job in general? How much that does that shake up the signing?
Yeah, well, you saw what happened to, Ole Miss so far. They lose people and, or Penn State and stuff. I mean, you lose coaches, people are going to move. So,
Hmm.
um, but speaking of Tulane job, one of the other favorites for the Tulane job was Billy Napier, but he's been snatched today. He was signed by JMU to a 5-year deal. I, hey, being a Florida fan, I've watched Billy for the last 3.5 years, sadly enough. But I do think this is a great hire for them. I've seen a lot of people say it's not, they're going to be bad, but I don't think that's the case. I mean, you see JMU the last 2 years after Kirk Signetti left that program in a great place, and I think Billy's taken it back in his hands for another great spot in that program. He's a great recruiter. That is one thing he could do really well at Florida. I imagine he'll have some OC. I don't know. He might be calling plays. Who knows? We'll come to see. But a 5-year deal for him. JMU should still be just as good of a program as they are, and probably will run the Sun Belt for as I mean for as long as he's probably there. I'd imagine. And then a couple other guys. Did want to mention Pat Fitzgerald. It has gotten hired again. He is going to Michigan State. I think
Another
that's who.
one of the other Big Ten school.
Yeah, I think that's great for Michigan State, honestly, because you look at Penn State not being able to hire a coach. They fire their coach. What? I think it was Tuesday they fired their coach, and then come yesterday they hired Fitzgerald. I I don't know what Michigan State has that Penn State doesn't, but they got something there because they're throwing money out there for people and getting a coach. So he should be pretty good though. Um, Fitzgerald, if you don't know much about him, he was the coach at Northwestern for what seemed like the longest time. From well, he was there for quite a while. He was really good. They played great seasons there. Had some of the best under him. Won I believe like 6 bowl games under him. Had a couple of 9-3 seasons. 10-3 season I believe as well. Beat a lot of top ranked teams while there. Had them in a great spot, and then a little bit of legal issues that took onto him under coaching. A couple of allegations that were happening to players, and he got removed from that team as the coach. Hasn't coached since then, but going to Michigan State. Hey, I think if he can do what he did at Northwestern and turn a program around like he did there with Michigan State, who hasn't been great the past few years, Michigan State could be on the rise. I mean, they've been good before. We've seen them be good before. They have all the, connections and stuff that they need to be a good school and be a good football program. So I think that could be an interesting hire for them. Uh, Another one, a big one actually. Before we mention the big one, I did want to mention a couple of hires. We were talking about Billy Napier, a couple of hires for Florida, to be exact. They hired an OC and a DC, surprisingly. John Summerall making moves. Brad White being hired from Kentucky's DC, moving to Florida's DC this year. He had some of the best ranked defenses in the nation while he was there. This last year wasn't too hot, had a lot of injuries on their squad and a lot of new guys. And then for OC, John Summerall has taken upon himself to get Georgia Tech's OC and Buster Faulkner. Big move, I think. Had some of the best offenses under him. He coached at Georgia when they went back to back. And then he coached at Georgia Tech, where he's been amazing with them. Haynes Keening has made him look great. I think they were like, I don't know where they are right now. I do know that Georgia Tech and Indiana are the only two schools in the top 20 in both passing and rushing. So, yeah, a big deal for Florida to hire that. They could be on the rise. John Summerall is looking better by the day, Florida fans, specifically me. Um, but any other guys you wanted to mention before I get to the big hire?
Um, just a couple little things. Obviously, Brian Hartland signed went to
That was the
USF.
big hire that I wanted to mention there.
Oh,
Oh,
oops.
good. Oh, good. Well, you
Obviously,
know what? We'll talk about him. We'll cover some of the smaller ones. Um, like you said, Brian Hartland going to USF. I don't know about you, but I think that's a huge move for them.
definitely.
And again, it's somebody that was talked for the Penn State job, and USF got him. Yeah, I don't know what that says about Penn
Some
State right now.
Something's got to be going on in there, man. I mean that.
And the thing is, he doesn't have any ties to Florida. Like he doesn't have any ties to the state of Florida. Most of his recruits have come from most of his wide receiver recruits have come from Texas. But I don't know. USF's got something more than Penn State's got right now. I think that's absolutely insane. And who knows? Um, if you don't know who Brian Hartland is, he was the OC at Ohio State this year. Well, still is, but OC at Ohio State after uh, Chip Kelly left this last year. He was co-offensive coordinator with Chip Kelly while he was there. Um, but yeah, he's an amazing recruiter, probably one of the best recruiters in the nation. I mean, the names jump off a list when you look at what who's got. Garrett Wilson, Emeka Ibuka, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr. Just a couple of names of guys that he's gotten. Obviously, those are just draft picks. Jeremiah Smith right now, Carnell Tate. I mean, insane guys. I know we talk about LSU being one of the top for wide receivers, but gotta say, I think Ohio State's taking that number one spot now.
Mm,
I mean,
don't
they
tell me that,
they
man. Mm-mm.
they are insanely good at recruiting wide
Yeah.
receivers and recruiting good players, and that comes partly from Brian Hartland being there. So I think going to Florida with a pool like the Florida players have, I mean, you have a one of the best states in the nation for recruiting and players. You put him at a school like USF, man. You talk about all these coaches leaving the American, and all the American coaches leaving to go somewhere else. Man, the Americans on the rise. Let's just say that one of the probably the best group of six, you know, conference out there, and I think Brian Harlan has every reason and every right to go there and probably run the American. I mean, strong statement, but I mean he can recruit.
Yeah.
So yeah, any other hires you wanted to bring up?
Obviously, you got Tosh Lapoy. He's going to be
Yes.
the head coach at Cal.
Yeah,
Um,
alma mater there. So that's a big deal. He did play a lot of
um,
also a good coach as well. He's been at
and then
Alabama,
a
Browns,
couple of
Falcons,
headlines this week.
Jaguars.
Chris Kleinman retires as Kansas State head coach,
Hmm.
and they picked up Colin Klein.
Yeah,
He's named the head coach, and he was the I believe offense coordinator at Texas A&M,
believe
or the
so. Believe so. I think.
he, I think co-offense coordinator, offense coordinator.
I think so. Let me check that real quick. Uh, he was offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for Texas A&M. Yep.
Yes, I mean I think, and they obviously hired him this week. And interestingly
Hmm.
enough, they will not be participating in a bowl game. They finished 6-6, and they have opted out of the bowl game.
Yeah.
So
True. Yeah.
that's something interesting. And obviously, that could be with obviously the retiring of their head coach.
Could be.
And then a
We'll
little
we'll,
little
we'll see.
side note here. UAB promoted interim Alex Morrison to be their head coach.
Hmm.
So he
Yep.
was promoted,
Hey,
and
he beat Memphis in his first week as coach,
he
as
did.
interim coach. So maybe, hey, Trent Dilfer. I mean, he did his job there, but there's a lot to improve, and I think he can do it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that covers most of the coaching carousel.
Yeah, I mean
Hopefully, we
that's
didn't miss
everything we need.
anybody.
Hmm.
Yeah, hopefully we didn't miss anybody there. Um, I did want to bring up though before we go to obviously playoff and conference championship games this week. I did want to go off the script and talk about a couple of transfers. I know we talked about recruiting earlier. There were a couple of transfers that stood out to me this week that were leaving. Um, that I mean, first of all, don't know if many people know who he is, but Colton Joseph at Old Dominion.
Hmm.
He, I don't know if probably never watched Old Dominion football before. A lot of people probably haven't, and so be it. It's Old Dominion. They weren't bad this year, but Colton Joseph is a dog.
Hmm.
We'll say that he is a
Yeah.
dog. He can play some darn good football. So interesting to see that. Wonder will he'll go? He might. I mean, people have talked about it. He might go to Virginia Tech.
That'd be
Just saying.
something.
I mean, it's right there. Could be a move for James Franklin to get a quarterback, a good one at
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Um, did a lot of the UConn players have left? Wide receiver, running back, a lot of those guys. Probably going to follow their coach over to Colorado State, I'd
Hmm.
imagine.
Hmm.
Mora obviously has a great big deal for them, and so we'll probably follow them. Um, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, but I think it's Harrison from FSU. He's transferring out, linebacker at FSU. Was supposed to be one of their good players, and so he's decided to enter the transfer portal. Obviously, we'll see that number of people in the transfer portal skyrocket in the next few months. Coming
Hmm.
to when transfer portal opens, only one obviously only one time that's open this year. New rule this year, don't have two different times of being open. So one time to make all the moves, and so they'll be. I mean, who knows? There's a ton of players that are going to enter. I did want to mention though, because I just thought of it. Marcus Stokes.
Uh-huh.
Uh, yeah.
I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you to get to that one.
Yes. Marcus Stokes. If y'all don't know who he is, he had committed to Florida. A four-star quarterback coming out of high school, committed to Florida to go play there. Video came out of him saying some stuff and got his scholarship removed from Florida, so wasn't able to go there, but did go to UWF, NCAA Division II school in Pensacola, Florida, in the
Uh-huh.
Panhandle. If y'all don't know where that is, right around where we're from, so big news for us. But he's played great. He's in the running for the basically the
Division
Division
two
II
Heisman.
Heisman. Yeah, Division II Heisman. His stats are off the charts this year. They've
I believe, and I believe a couple receivers from that room as well have also entered that transfer portal.
Hmm.
We might see all the move up to that Division 1 level.
Oh, I think definitely Marcus Stokes will go to some school, um, some Division 1 school. Who knows if it's big or small, but he's definitely worthy of that. He has played some great ball this year. Amazing. He's looked like the 4-star quarterback that I think Florida thought when they were recruiting him. Sadly, he couldn't go there, but yeah. So we'll see where he goes. Should be interesting move there. A lot of interesting moves the transfer portal, and again, it will only skyrocket. It will only keep going. And so yeah, we covered all the other topics in CFB. I think there's only two more to talk about, and they're the big ones. It's going to take a while to cover these, and we got a lot to talk about. So, which one do you want to start with first?
Um, I really just want to talk about the bracket that came out, kind of just a little reaction, kind of just seeing where everything's at. I think that's what we all really want to talk about and kind of get into.
Fair enough.
Um, Obviously came out on Tuesday, kind of where we
Mm-hmm.
stand right now. The conference champion number 5 will play Oregon, and winner of that
Mm-hmm.
will take on Texas Tech.
Yeah, that's
Alabama,
a
Oklahoma.
big deal.
hmm And Alabama, Oklahoma, winner of that will play Ohio State. Conference champion number 4, Ole Miss, will take on Georgia. Notre Dame
Mm-hmm.
and Texas A&M will play Indiana.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Just to simplify that a little bit for people that don't know the numbers, Ohio State sits number one, Indiana sits two, Georgia three, Texas Tech four, Oregon five, Ole Miss six, Texas A&M seven, Oklahoma eight, uh, Alabama nine, moved up this week, Notre Dame 10, and then the two conference champions 11 and 12. So yeah, interesting bracket, and just mentioned it, but Alabama did move up.
yeah, they actually jumped. I believe they jumped Notre Dame this week,
Yep, they
which
did.
definitely surprised some people. I would say
Brought some controversy with it for sure.
uh, definitely something that definitely something that surprised a lot of people. Definitely what was said about it. A lot of controversy.
Yeah, interesting way to explain it. I think he said because they went for it on fourth down.
I think he said it was a gutsy because of the gutsy fourth down call. They thought it was good
They
to move him up
decided,
above Notre
yeah, to
Dame.
move him up. I don't know how that works. I don't know how you a gutsy, fourth play call in the fourth quarter against an Auburn team that
5 and
wasn't
6
good.
Auburn team.
So yeah, I don't really know how that makes you move up. Interesting description there. Hopefully there was a better reason than that in the committee for that
I
moving
hope so
up.
too.
Because that, I mean, at this point, gosh, we could move up a lot of people then if we're going off of singular plays.
Uh-huh.
But I will agree. I do think Alabama should be ranked ahead of Notre Dame. They've got the wins, they've got the resume better
Yeah.
than Notre Dame for sure. So I don't really disagree with that. But it does make it interesting because it's basically saying the committee's basically saying that Alabama's guaranteed to get in. They're more than likely not going to. I know we talked about it Monday that potentially if they lose, they could drop out. But it's basically saying the committee's saying that look, even if Alabama loses to Georgia, they're not going to drop out.
And I think we talked about this conversation a little bit. And I think it's something brought up. Is the conference championship being kind of a whammy almost for some teams? For example,
Mm-hmm.
like Alabama, and I
Yeah.
mean they got their two loss 10-2 team. With a loss, they could be dropped out of that in the championship game. We were asking, me and you talked about it. Is that kind of a whammy to play in that game,
Mm-hmm.
depending on where you're at?
Yeah.
Um, I think one thing that we can all agree on, I think, is their resume is they have a good resume.
Oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
no question about the resume. Obviously, the explanation was, you know,
Lackluster, to say the least.
yeah. But I will say, I mean, I think we can agree on it. I think the resume is there. Um, However you see it, but I think the resume is good. I think they should be above Notre Dame. But that's definitely interesting to see. Alabama was guaranteed a spot in because now it makes things interesting about
It,
the
for
whole
sure.
Notre Dame and Miami now.
It, for sure. I mean, it definitely does. And like you said, I don't think we should discredit teams for getting to the conference championship. I don't think we should hurt them for getting there and playing when other teams don't play, specifically Notre Dame and Miami there. I mean, you can't really hurt them for being good.
Hmm.
So it's fair enough that they're going to get there, but the only thing that we'll talk about here in a little bit, to kind of talk about conference champions and potentially losing, BYU will be an interesting conversation for that one. But you did mention, obviously, with Alabama jumping Notre Dame, well, I mean, Notre Dame and Miami are only getting closer by the day. And the committee said this week, I know that Reese Davis had asked them because last year they said that teams that did not play would not move. But the committee said that that's not the case this year. That teams that don't play can move, and they can move up or down, as we've seen this week. And that makes it interesting because knowing that Miami and Notre Dame don't play another game and won't, and hearing that the committee say that they can flip them makes it really interesting. The only team in between them, BYU, sitting at 11. But Miami and Notre Dame basically in the same boat now. They're sitting right next to each other.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I mean, it's one thing that's obviously the big, controversy and the big talk about now with this new playoff.
Hmm.
Kind of, and one thing I
Yeah,
think it needs to be talked about is I think we need a consistent basis for how we're going to grade teams.
true.
Because, like you talk about, are we going to, can teams not playing who are idle move up or down? Last year they said no. This year it's yes. Kind of just, I think we need to find the happy consistency of, okay, we have to go off this. Because I think, in all fairness, and, Miami fans have talked about it, and I think it's fair, it does kind of seem like the scale's moving.
Yeah.
I think, and I think, I mean, for them, that's a fair argument, and I think I would kind of agree with that. I talked about it last year too, and this year. I think the one thing that needs to happen is consistency. I think we need to be consistent with what are we grading off of. What's going to be our who's going to move up, who's going to move down. What are we grading off of? Um,
Yeah.
and
For
that's one thing I
sure.
think.
For sure.
And that's one thing I just kind of want is can we get that consistency? We can't. I think we can't change standards every year.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I know a lot of people aren't happy with the how the committee is handling these rankings. Obviously, with the whole Miami Notre Dame ordeal to begin with, and now Alabama jumping Notre Dame, and the lackluster, explanation for that. Yeah, people are really kind of confused. I mean, but again, it's got to be, yeah, it's got to have some, kind of structure to it. And I know I've seen a lot of debate, obviously at Miami Notre Dame, like it has been all year. But it does seem that's the only game in the rankings of two ranked teams that they're not taking head to head, which we talked about it Monday with Notre Dame, Miami, and what we think. Um, but now it makes it even more interesting. Obviously, then Alabama was behind Notre Dame. Now they're sitting basically in the same boat, and with Miami, well, with the committee saying that Miami and Notre Dame could move even though they don't play, will the committee flip them? Or will it not even come to matter? And I think that's the big part that we're talking about here is the team in between Notre Dame and Miami. Nobody's talking about them. BYU. And why aren't we? They're 11-1.
Not just 11-1, but better record against that's current top 25. I mean,
True.
let's just start with a couple things off resume here. Their FBS opponent win percentage. This is Miami, Notre Dame, and BYU. This is their FBS opponent win percentage. So who
Mm-hmm.
the teams they've played, this is their win percentage. Notre Dame's at 524.
Mm.
Miami's at 523. BYU's at
Mm.
583.
Mm.
Okay. Let's talk about the strength of schedule. Notre Dame 42nd, Miami 44th,
Mm-hmm.
BYU 35th. Let's
Man.
talk about the win loss versus top 25 teams that are currently in the playoff. Notre
Currently,
Dame
yeah,
1 and
ranked, yeah.
Notre Dame 1 and 2. Miami 1 and 0. BYU's 2 and 1.
It's
I don't
gotta
know
be it's
about
gotta be
you.
talked about. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I feel like BYU off resume is better than both these teams.
Yeah, they're getting the small end of the stick here. I mean, I think it's and I don't know. And we talked about it the other night that maybe it's because the committee doesn't like the Big 12 as much. Um, But we went through, and at the bottom of the rankings, the committee loves the Big 12. I mean, you have a ton of teams there that are ranked. Arizona, Utah, Arizona State was ranked at one point. I mean, you have these teams who are ranked, and you think to yourself, well, do they think the Big 12 is a good conference? Do they give them credit for being in the Big 12 or not? And then you look at BYU, who's sitting right in between the teams that people argue about the most in Notre Dame and Miami, and you just said it right there. All their numbers are better. I mean, you can't argue with the stats. You can't. They're 11-1, and I've seen it. And I've seen it for the last week, and I've seen it this week. That how are we going to hurt a team for going 11-1 in the regular season, going to a conference championship game? They
They're
even if
gonna
they finish 11-2, we said it. Their only loss is going to come from number 4 Texas Tech. Number
yeah,
4 Texas
that's
Tech.
that. I mean, I'm just confused. Like I said, I'm a little concerned that this name is feel like it's even being talked about.
Uh,
It just seems like
yeah,
we're sitting in no like it feels like BYU just kind of like just sitting there in just the room and they're unnoticed.
exactly. And I saw that the uh, BYU Instagram account, they were going off today or yesterday about it, and I thought it was so funny. But they have valid points. I mean, like, how do you look at a team that has gone 11-1 through the regular season, and it's not like it's James Madison who's in a group of six, in the Sun Belt. No, they're in the Big 12. They're one of the best conferences in the nation. And yes, we looked at it, and the Big 12, when we looked at it the other night, is that the Big 12 and the ACC kind of are on the same level. And I know people are going to hate that it's saying, and people aren't going to agree with that. But rankings wise, and how good teams are, and how bad the bottom teams are, they're kind of the same. They're on the same level, and you could say that Big 12 competition is worse than the ACC, or ACC is worse than the Big 12, whatever. But at the same time, you look at the teams that BYU's played, you look at the teams that they've beat. Like you said, they're 2-1 against top 25 teams that are currently ranked. I
Hmm.
mean, they beat Utah and Arizona, or Arizona, yeah,
Yeah,
Arizona. I mean, I just don't. And the only team that they lost to
it's number
is
4.
Texas Tech. It's number 4 Texas Tech. And you can't. I mean, obviously, did they have a chance in that game? No, they didn't. Okay, let's be fair. No, they didn't. But at the same time, it's like you can't just hurt them for that. You know, they lost to number 4, and they're gonna play number 4 this weekend.
I think it's one. I mean, I think all the sports shows, all TV, and everywhere you see it, it's only been the Miami Notre Dame conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a little more of a disgrace and sad that BYU, who's got a better resume than both those teams, isn't it just kind of feels like there's not even a consideration for them. And it
True.
seems like, and it's kind of funny because it seems like, well, we'll flip Notre Dame, Miami, maybe. BYU's got a better resume.
True. I mean, and the thing is, I know people will argue with this, and I know people will take it like, "Hey, we just want BYU in the playoffs, because we don't want to deal with the Notre Dame Miami controversy." But that's not really it. That's not really what we're saying. We're saying, look at the team, look at the ranking, look at the numbers, look at the stats. You can't argue with that. They're 11-1. That's better than both Miami and Notre Dame. Okay, I get
They're
it.
better.
Miami might have played tougher competition. Notre Dame might have played whatever. But at the same time, they're 11-1. They're going to a conference championship, something that Notre Dame and Miami aren't doing. Just going to put that out there. They aren't doing that. They're going to play the number 4 ranked team in Texas Tech, who yes, they already lost to this year. But even if they lose that game, they're 11-2. They have one more win than Miami and Notre Dame will have at
And
all,
the
and
the
another
same team.
loss, and a loss in a conference championship game to a team they already lost to, and that means their only loss all year will come from Texas Tech. Texas Tech, and they're going to be ranked probably number 4. I mean, at the end of the year. So like, how? How do you disqualify them from the conversation and say that they're not as good when potentially the only team that they could lose to all year is number 4 in the nation? I mean, if we put that in perspective, everybody talks about Miami beating number 6. and Notre Dame when they were there, and Notre Dame already are only having 2 losses to the number 3 team. I mean, well if Notre Dame only lost to the 3 team in Miami, well, why doesn't BYU losing to the number 8 team at the time, and they're playing the number 4 team? What? How does that differ? And that would be a question I'd ask the committee is, what differs them, what doesn't put them above Notre Dame and Miami just in you know pure record and strength. I don't know. You look at Notre Dame's best wins, and man, their best win is USC, and USC's ranked what, 17, 16,
Hmm.
16. So yeah, you look at BYU's best wins. Utah's at 15, right ahead of USC, and then Arizona's at 18, 2 spots behind USC. You look at Miami, their best wins, obviously Notre Dame sitting at 10 right now, but it's just like I don't know what to think about it. You know, none of the other teams that Miami beat are ranked right now. That were ranked are still ranked, and I, I don't know, man. I just and we had said it, and we had made sure that we were going to bring this up tonight. That BYU I think should get a look at, should get some kind of recognition.
It just that's the thing I'm pointing. I feel like it just doesn't feel like everywhere I'm looking, it doesn't seem there's any acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
It's even funnier. I feel like I'm seeing more stuff about Vanderbilt and Texas
True,
more than BYU.
true that.
And,
I
and,
mean,
and I mean, of course, Vandy and Texas have sure good resumes and
mhm,
good teams
yeah.
played, but it almost feels like BYU is just kind of being pushed aside. They're just not even like kind of existing.
True. I don't know what to think about it. And obviously, if they go to Texas Tech, if they play Texas Tech this weekend and they get blown out, let's just say they lose by 40 points, then so be it. But like, if they play a close game and they lose, on a last minute touchdown, a last minute field goal, or they lose by a field goal or whatever, I just don't. I don't know how you don't put them ahead of Notre Dame and Miami just based off their stats and their record. And,
Well,
but if they win, and that's
this
basically
is
what we're trying to get at here, is that if they do beat Texas Tech, that's why it becomes really interesting. And that's really the reason we're bringing it up, because if they beat Texas Tech, we don't even have to worry about the debate of Notre Dame and Miami, because come Sunday, that won't matter anymore. It
yeah,
won't.
and I feel like, I mean, to me, I feel like that's the biggest. I feel like that's going to be the most watched. I feel like it should be one of the most watched games. Of course, you got number
Yeah,
one and number two in Ohio State and Indiana, but
definitely.
I think that's a big game to look at because, again, you talked about it, you just mentioned it. If BYU beats Texas Tech, well, they get the conference champion spot,
Yeah,
and Notre Dame's going to get pushed out.
exactly. I mean, because Texas Tech's not going to drop out. So they're going to still host. If they were to lose, BYU's going to get in, kicks Notre Dame out, and Notre Dame Miami. I mean, they're tossed aside now. They're not even going to matter, and you're going to have all your teams in, and nothing's going to change because obviously they said unless Alabama were to go lose by 45 to Georgia, and the committee were to decide they don't deserve it, which I don't think so at this point. Again, like we said, committee's kind of basically solidified that Alabama will be in the playoff. Um, it'll make it interesting, man. It'll be weird, and I think honestly, it'll be funny if BYU does win and does beat Texas Tech, and it basically silences all the talk about Miami and Notre Dame, and they've got
Yeah.
nothing left to say.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think again, I mean, we mentioned. I just think BYU resume, I think says it all. And again, I think it's important to mention because at the end of the day, it just doesn't feel like they're getting any recognition. And I feel like by the standards and the structure, your foundation of the rankings, how you rank,
Yeah.
I feel like they should be in a playoff spot.
Yeah, and I guess we'll see come Sunday. Well, we'll see come Saturday. See if about the game and see what they do in that game. Um, Obviously, it'll be packed. Big 12 put out today that they sold out all tickets, and it will beat the record of last year's Big 12. So people are recognizing the Big 12 for sure. I mean, people are going to the games, they're selling them out. They know it's a big game, they know who's there, and so that'll be interesting. Um, Next thing to bring up though, obviously we talked about how conference champion number 4 and conference champion number 5 will be in at the 11-12 spot. Obviously, we expect Tulane to don't say expect. As of right now, Tulane's the favorite to win the American. Um, don't know if they're actually favored
I think
betting
North Texas.
wise.
I think North Texas was minus
Yeah,
2.5 in that game last
yeah.
time I believe looking.
Well,
That's
I'll look right now. We'll see what this is. Um,
I believe one thing we
yes,
know for sure.
still 2.5 to North. It's still
We know
favored
for
by two
sure
and a half North Texas.
the winner in that game is going to get a playoff spot. So that's a big
100%.
one.
Yeah,
That's
100%. Big news that they ranked them this week. Uh, them and JMU being ranked this week was big for the group of six to see. Finally getting some more recognition there with teams being ranked.
we were hoping JMU would. I know me and you had talked about it. We were hoping JMU would get some recognition for what they've accomplished here and what they've done, and they're
True.
I believe was it 23.5 point favorites in their Sun Belt
Yes, they are
championship game.
23.5 point favorites.
Um,
That game tomorrow, 6 p.m. We'll be paying attention to that game. I want to watch. But it does become. I did see though that it becomes more interesting if Troy were to beat James Madison, or say, what if Troy didn't beat them, but they lost by like 1 point, 2 points, 3 points? Does the committee like James Madison more than say if Duke were to win the ACC championship? Because obviously this is the first week James Madison is in the picture. They're in the rankings. If Duke were to go demolish Virginia, do they like them more than if James Madison were to barely beat Troy?
but I mean, I think it's actually Tyler. But I mean, I haven't obviously looked at it. But I mean, the rankings in general, Duke can't be.
Well, no, they're not anywhere close right now. But I saw somebody tweet that out saying, what if it were to be a close game and Duke were to go demolish Virginia and win the ACC? Would the committee think any differently about maybe potentially ranking them? Obviously, if James Madison loses to Troy, it doesn't matter. They won't be the one. They won't be the team in, and then it really becomes interesting of who do you put in, because if Duke does beat Virginia, it's like, okay, well, do you go to the Mountain West, and Boise State or UNLV, or do you think that Duke is better than both of those teams? I don't know what the rankings are past, you know.
I think if I look, UNLV sitting at like 42nd.
Mm, mm.
In that
And what
in that
is what is Duke sitting at? Do you know?
honestly, I'm gonna go look. Um, that was something I was wondering. Is I know I looked it up. Um, and let's I believe I know I looked it up.
Yeah, I saw it and I really did think it was interesting. I know it has been a topic, um, and I've thought about it since obviously it became a fact that Duke was going to be in the ACC championship game. That if they do win, North Texas Tulane, whoever's the winner of that is guaranteed a spot. They're going to get in at the 4. But if say James Madison doesn't win or comes close, even what does the committee think? I think it'll be interesting to see would they rank a Duke team who would be 8-5. Would they rank them higher than you know say a UNLV Boise State team? Would they rank them higher than a James Madison team who barely beats Troy? Uh, Obviously, Boise State favored by 4.5 right now over UNLV. That's another game that's tomorrow at 7. We'll be paying attention to that game. I know you will. And
Yeah.
then at same time as that game is the Tulane and North Texas game. So that'll be, whoever wins that will get in there. Um, yeah, just
Right.
interesting thought there. Just a little bit of an interesting decision that I thought.
I'm trying to find it.
Okay,
There was
all
something I
right.
looked at.
The other conference championship game tomorrow, Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State. Kennesaw State's still favored by 2.5. I did see a wild post about Kennesaw State still having a slight chance. They needed a ton of chaos and basically was hoping for Duke to be worse than Kennesaw State. I don't think, as much as I would love to see a team like Kennesaw State get in, I don't think it's going to happen. Um, Obviously. But yeah, those games are tomorrow. Um, we'll be watching that game too. That game comes in at 6 for anybody that's wondering. Um, yeah. Uh, did you
I
find it?
can't find it. I was
Okay.
not able to find it.
Well, hey, again, it'll come. Duke has to win the game anyway, and then you know things have to happen. It's still a wild chance out there. It's still a small, slim chance at that for anything insane to happen in that case. But had to mention it. It is part of it. Um, Speaking of the bracket, though, I didn't want to pass by the teams that we talked about that we mentioned quickly. Vanderbilt and Texas. First of all, wanted to mention Vanderbilt for a specific reason that you thought was really interesting.
So, some stuff came out that there could be a possible 13th game schedule for Vanderbilt this weekend,
They were
and I
trying,
believe,
yeah.
and I believe the team was going to be Miami.
Well, actually, well, yeah, that was one of the teams they had contacted Utah and Miami. Um, Utah, I think would have been if anybody was going to play them, I think Utah would have been the one to do it because they needed help, more help. Miami, I don't think would ever play them just because of the fact of they wouldn't want the chance to lose and
Hmm.
just be completely kicked off. Obviously, not this game is not happening. They're not going to play. Even though it would be interesting to see a Vanderbilt team
Well, we
play one
don't
of
know yet.
those.
I think it's still being talked about as
I
of
think it
right
was.
now.
I thought it was declined today that it wasn't actually going to happen. That they did. Neither one of the teams actually wanted to play.
Okay,
I
I know
think
what I
could be wrong there, but I'm
well,
pretty
say
sure
at the least there was a possibility that
there
Vanderbilt was
was.
going to rank the 13th game, and it was interesting. I
Hmm.
think they'd have to go to Hawaii and go
Yes,
on that.
there's a Hawaii game special rule in the
Yeah.
NCAA. It's
Uh-huh.
so interesting. If you've never read it, go read it, go look it up, go look at it because it's interesting. It's weird how it happens, but Hawaii's like a barrier in between all the rest of the college football rules. Um, yeah, did think that was interesting though. Obviously, Diego Pavia tweeting to Donald Trump about trying to get them in. Thought that
He
was
did do
awesome.
that.
Thought that was weird and awesome at the same time. I don't think Donald Trump has that power over the CFB committee. I'm
I
gonna be
don't think so.
honest.
They haven't given him that yet, so
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
see.
don't know. But a lot of teams are doing that. Vandy wrote a whole couple of documents about it, trying to get them to give them reasons to get in. Which you look at them and you go, we didn't talk much about them Monday, but you look at them and you go, hey, they do have some convincing wins. Their losses aren't bad. I mean, you look at their you look at their good wins, their signature wins, and they had one this last week. Man, they they stomped Tennessee, and it was a Tennessee team who was 19th, and the committee, when asked about Vanderbilt on Tuesday, was like, well, they just their signature wins. They don't have a signature win. And to my thought to that was, but they stomped Tennessee this last week, which was ranked in your bracket. And the only reason they're not ranked in your bracket is because Tennessee stomped them so bad that they dropped out of the bracket, that they dropped out of the rankings. That's the only reason was because Tennessee murdered them. Sorry, Vandy murdered Tennessee. So like, I I didn't get that point either per se because again, their only losses come to Alabama and
In Texas.
Texas. And you go look at Texas's,
Uh-huh. They've
reasons
they've
here.
had some stuff to say.
They do. I mean, Texas again, another thing of them trying to, say things to the committee to get them in, and a whole bunch of people are submitting their point. That's for sure. They are telling their side of the story. But obviously, you look at Vandy. Texas sits ahead of them, obviously. Um, one of the things that Miami Notre Dame people look at because head to head, you put them ahead. Uh, Texas, obviously, being one of the only teams that Vandy's lost to, Alabama, Texas, close game. Vandy almost came back and won that game. But then you look at Texas, three losses, good losses, but three losses, more than anybody else up there. And can't really, I can't put that aside. I don't think it's fair to put that aside. They have the old argument. We talked about it today. Well, we played Ohio State and we lost by 7 and we played them in the first week. How does that hurt us? And to me, like we said, it's not really I don't think it hurt them because you look at them and you go, they're the only three-loss team that's ranked that high. And why? Because their losses come to Ohio State and Georgia. Like I don't think it's a disgrace to say that putting teams on your schedule like number 3 team in the nation at the time is a bad thing because if they were to go and win that game, it helps them even more and they lost and it doesn't really hurt them. It's not the loss that hurts them. The loss that hurts them, and we talked about it and we said it on Monday, Florida. You just can't lose that game. I get it's in the swamp. I'm a Florida fan. Greatest game of the year for Florida fans. But you you can't lose that game if you're Texas. If you want a chance to get in the playoffs, you cannot lose that game.
Yeah, and I think you said it, perfectly. I don't think the Ohio State loss hurt them whatsoever. I don't think the committee really doubted anything of them. Ohio
No,
State's still number 1 in the country. They haven't moved.
true.
Um, but again, we talked about the loss to Florida, game you can't lose. And then their next loss came to
Georgia.
they lost to Georgia, a good team.
Yeah,
I mean,
they got beat by 25 points though in that game. They were playing at Georgia, but you
I
know
think, and it was
they get beat.
was it close after the third quarter? I thought it was a
Yeah, it
pretty,
was. The score doesn't really show how close it was. Um,
but I
but yeah,
think,
just did
like you
want to
said,
mention that.
I think the Florida loss did hurt them, and I
That's
think,
that's what people aren't realizing. It's not the losses to the good teams that's hurting them. It's the loss to the bad teams.
and I feel like that's again that's something that you mentioned there.
Yeah,
Got to win the games. A game that
especially
I,
ones that you should win against a team
I
that
think 9.5 point favorites entering that game.
I think they were. I'm pretty sure either 9.5 or
If I
ten and a
recall,
half, and they were.
I mean, favored in the game, and you weren't able to win, and that
No,
hurts you.
and it wasn't even like a game the score is the end score of the final. The final was 29-21. They lost by 8 points. But if you watch that game, they were never in it. They were. Florida kind of owned them the whole game. They were never in it. And so I think you can make an argument if maybe you were to lose on some insane, last minute play, whatever. But they didn't. Obviously, the next week they go and beat Oklahoma, who was number 8 ranked. And you look at that and you go, well, Oklahoma's, above them in the rankings still, but it makes sense. Oklahoma has one of the best resumes in the country.
And 3 loss
They
team,
should
Texas
be
Tech.
there. Yeah, and Texas has 3 losses. And obviously they beat Vandy, but they are ahead of Vandy. And it doesn't seem like either team will make the playoffs, obviously. So it doesn't really matter too much. But they do have, again, they beat Texas A&M last week. They have good wins. They have 3 top 10 wins at that. Number 8, number 9, and number 3. But you look at the couple of games, and one of the things I heard today was you talk about the Mississippi State game. They had to come back from a deficit. That was a wild comeback, and they won an OT to a Mississippi State team that was bad. And then Arkansas was in the game against them for the longest time, and Texas had to score 52 to beat them. It's
I
just,
think I think in
yeah,
all fairness though, with the Arkansas game, Arkansas just has had its fair. I think they've had the most one
for
score
sure.
games I've ever seen. I mean,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
that was, I mean, it was fun. I saw something the other day. Can you take a guess what their point differential was? I mean, if you had to
It was
guess,
small. I saw that post too, but I can't think of the number.
they were +3 in the point margin. I mean,
That's
that's
it.
crazy. 2 and
That's
19 were
it.
+3.
Insane.
I I just
Insane
thought that was
stat.
interesting.
Yeah. An insane stat there.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean those teams Just wanted to mention them. Obviously, they're still talked about. They're making their cases. It's not going to matter in the end, though. Um, it's just, committees already said they're not going to make it. So, it comes down to the teams that are basically already in. Um, like we said, the top nine, there's basically only one at large bid left. Um, and then two conference championship bids. And whether that's Notre Dame, BYU, or Miami that takes the at large, or could be Texas Tech technically if BYU to win the conference championship game. And then we'll see about the other two, whether it's North Texas or Tulane or James Madison or someone else, or if it's Virginia. We'll see. Um, Obviously, those games Saturday. For people wondering, Texas Tech BYU is the first game of the day there at 11. Will be a great game to watch. We'll be watching that one. Then Miami, Ohio, Western Michigan. For anybody wondering, will come on at the same time. Probably not much talk about that game, but it's the MAC. MAC action's always fun to watch.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then College Game Day is going to Georgia, Alabama. Obviously, no surprise there. They play at 3. Will be interesting to watch to see if, like we talked about on Monday, see if Georgia can get its get back. Seems that they always have. I did look at it the other day. Alabama's won 9 of the last 10 against Georgia, and yeah, we'll see what Georgia can do there. Um, Indiana Ohio State game. Did want to mention that game again. No, we mentioned it on a Monday. They play at 7 o'clock. Two undefeated teams playing for a conference championship. Big game. Number 1 and number 2 in the nation, and they're really not getting much talk. It's like a non-existent, non-important game.
It was fun. I think I told a couple people. I mean, I was just amazed. I mean, I feel like it's one of the very few times number one versus number two matchup is never talked about. I mean,
Exactly.
it's just being pushed aside.
It's crazy. Yeah, usually that would be the headline, but it's not
Yeah.
because it doesn't really matter because either team's going to make it. And I did hear an argument today. Um, is there any way that the team that loses doesn't host a home game? Is there any chance? Like, let's just say Indiana were to lose by 40. They're still in the playoff, but is there any chance they don't host a college football playoff game? I don't think there is. I think no matter what they're gonna do. I
I think
don't
it's
think
gonna
they're
be.
gonna lose by 40.
I think it'll be a close game. I think a field goal game.
Oh, I think it will be. I think it'll be great to watch. Two Heisman contenders and Julian Sayin and Fernando Mendoza. Great wide receivers there. Mentioned a couple of them earlier. Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Surratt for Indiana. Amazing, amazing game. Should be great to watch. The other game that everybody else will be paying attention to, especially the ACC fans, Duke Virginia comes on at 7. Will be
That's a big
insane to
one.
watch.
That
It
could
is.
definitely that could have some implications. And Duke,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Virginia's 3.5 point favorites.
I believe so. Yes. Yes, they're 3.5. Like we said Monday, they beat them earlier in the season by double the amount of points, 34-17. Can Virginia do that again? Who knows? I don't know. Duke will come in with a fire, I think, obviously, because they're the underdog, and everybody looks at them as the 7-5 team that made a conference championship game, and they want to be the 7-5 team that somehow wins a conference championship game. Don't
Yeah.
know the last time that happened. Um, don't know if that's ever happened. I'm pretty sure it has, but I don't remember the last time it did. Will be insane if that does happen, like we were talking about. Implications there change across the board. JMU will
Mhm.
be there will be a lot of JMU fans that will be Duke fans. Surprising, kind of match there. They will be
Yeah.
Duke fans on Friday, and they will be Duke fans on Saturday, rooting for Duke to win. Um, Obviously, it would be great for the JMU program. It will be interesting though, and we didn't mention it on Monday, and we didn't mention it just a second ago when we were talking about the American Conference game. Both of those coaches gone after this year. They've already signed new deals. John Summerall at Florida, and North Texas's coach at Oklahoma State. And so they're leaving. Did see a post about that. It was weird. I know we talked about it. John Summerall had his presser on Monday, and then Tuesday, next morning, he's dressed in Tulane stuff at a presser for the conference championship game.
Yeah.
It's so weird. That's one of the things that I know I've seen a lot of people talk about. The schedule needs to be changed, It needs to the whole college football schedule, it needs to be fixed. That's another thing that has been terrible,
with that
terrible. You
with
talk
head
about that?
coaches, leaving before
Yeah,
playoffs. I
yeah.
think I saw. I think Rick
Yeah, I
Pitino
was just about to
tweeted.
say Rick Pitino tweeted that. Yeah.
He was like, I think he said something like, "All right, it's like me coaching the entire game, through March, and then, hey
Yeah,
guys, I'm
he
gonna leave."
yeah, he said, "Well, I coached through March and I mean, I leave after that. Like why are we having coaches leave before the end of the seasons? It doesn't it's like me getting a team to March and then just being like, "Well, see you later." You know?
I did my job.
It's
I got y'all where I needed to
it's
be.
insane. And speaking of that, we didn't mention it earlier with the coaching, but Charlie Weiss being able to come back to coach for Ole Miss, their OC, in the playoff game.
Yeah, I did see that, and I think Lane Kiffin came out and said something. I believe he had said, we, I think he said
He
something about he didn't want their ranking to be dropped down because of that, because of
Which
him
we
leaving.
didn't mention that either, but Ole Miss did move up in a ranking after losing Lane Kiffin. Actually,
And I think, and it
surprising.
was funny because I think Lane Kiffin came out and said something about he had said, I was hoping I don't want Ole Miss to drop in the rankings because
Hmm.
of me leaving,
Because
so
yeah,
that he sent the OC back.
yeah. Well, he said that, but come to find out that was another lie of this week. Lane Kiffin has been caught in a couple lies this week. The AD said today that that was not true. Lane Kiffin did not let him come back. That was already scheduled to happen. Um, just saying, a lot of controversy there with Lane Kiffin,
And his players
because
coming out and saying something about the locker
yeah,
room.
because they told him, yeah, yeah, they said that the players didn't want they wanted Lane Kiffin to coach, and the players came out this week saying, don't think that ever. Two of the star players said, I don't think that ever was the case. We didn't want him to come back and coach in the playoffs. So fair be it, good for them. Interesting, a couple lies there by Lane Kiffin that make it seem like maybe we didn't know everything that was going
Going
on.
on. And of course, we're
I
talking about
I, I
Florida
don't know.
State.
Oh
Talking about
yeah,
Florida
yeah,
State. Yeah.
yeah. It came out this week that Florida State had actually tried to poach Lane Kiffin secretly. Absolutely insane. There was reports that there was a fourth team, but nobody knew who it was. Obviously, it came out yesterday that that was FSU, or 2 days ago that that was FSU.
Yeah. I think obviously he ended up at LSU, and then they're keeping Mike Norvell. I believe through
I,
next season.
I would have never seen it happening. I'm gonna be honest. Not just because I'm a Florida fan, but I don't think he would have ever gone to FSU. It would have been insane if that were to happen, like secretly, and nobody ever
Going from
knew,
the
and all of a
SEC, the
sudden,
ACC, and
yeah. I I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I didn't think they were going to offer him. Um, I didn't think they would have been that team. I thought it would have been another SEC team or something.
I was thinking like maybe like an Auburn or a
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
Arkansas maybe in that
Yeah,
boat.
I FSU would not have been on my list of teams. Did see
Not
that
me either.
Kalen DeBoer today shot down reports that potentially he could be looking at the Penn State job. Never gonna happen. I think people are just
Especially now, I don't know if
yeah. I
this,
mean,
this starting to leave it.
I think people are stupid to think DeBoer will leave Alabama anytime soon. That's the
To
job he
leave for a
wants.
pin.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
that's
I think a big thing. I think a big thing we're paying attention to is what happens at Penn State. That's a big
that will
issue
be that
for
will be a
for
big
an Nittany
deal.
Lions fan. I mean, that's a huge thing to pay attention to. I mean,
Yeah,
you dropped to
yeah,
150 in the committee rankings. I mean, in the recruiting rankings. Excuse me.
yeah,
Only got
yeah.
two
That
commits. I think both are in state.
Yeah, that will be a
Think
that will be a big topic for the next coming months or for the next month. They have to have a coach by January. I think they'll have a coach by Christmas. Hopefully, at least Santa gives Penn State fans a coach for Christmas because if not, we might see a riot. A shout out to those Penn State fans. They're in the dumpster right now with Penn State. Can't imagine being that. I know how it feels to have a bad coach, and then knows how it feels to, they had a good coach, left them. Obviously, now have an interim coach, don't have a coach, know how that feels. Interesting time. Um, yeah, so yeah, that will be a big story. Obviously, all the conference championship games we will be watching, we'll be paying attention to. And then Sunday, playoff rankings come out. Pretty sure that show is at noon on Sunday. And then right after that, bowl games come out. A couple of them already being released this week. Missouri State, Arkansas State playing in the newly made Xbox Bowl.
Xbox Bowl.
Take over for the Bahamas Bowl because the Bahamas Bowl had a stadium renovation and could not host it this year. So, yeah, Xbox Bowl, first year for Missouri State in the FBS, and they're going to a bowl game. So good for them. We'll play Arkansas State.
Yeah.
And then the other bowl that was released already was the Hawaii Bowl, where Hawaii will play Cal. Interesting game there. Obviously, Cal without a head coach. Hawaii,
My
obviously
second year
in
playing
Hawaii.
a Mountain West team in the bowl
Yep,
season. Played
yep.
UNLV last year.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Should be a good game. Um, Obviously, the other bowl thing that came out was like we mentioned earlier, Kansas State declining their bowl will mean that some 5-7 team in the next coming days, obviously will probably be released on Sunday, but some 5-7 team will take the place of Kansas State in the
And
bowl game that they
is
were
there a
supposed to play.
chance that sorry to interrupt. Is there a chance that there could be an oddball? So let's say you had like an odd number of 6-6 teams. Could that be an issue or not really be an
Well, six
issue?
and six teams make it no matter what, because you have 6 wins, they make it, so they're already in a bowl game.
So then they pull a
So
5-7 team.
yeah, they
Right.
pull a 5-17. We saw it last year when they dropped out too. That there was a 5-7 team that was upped. I don't know how
That
they
would
go
be
about
it was
that.
lot it was La Tech. I think La Tech played Army. It was
Yes,
supposed to be
yes,
Marshall, but Marshall had all those
yeah.
transfers with
hmm They didn't
Huff.
have a team to play with. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there'll be some 5-7 team. I bet they go off of like strength of schedule. I'd imagine strength of record, something like that. I don't know who it'll be. I know I told you earlier. If it's FSU,
You
don't
would be
tell
an
me.
angry man.
Don't tell me. It shouldn't be allowed. But yeah, so that will take a place. That's the only bowl thing that was mentioned this week that was interesting. And yeah, we'll obviously be watching the rankings as well as y'all come Sunday, and we'll see what happens. It should be an interesting time, conference championship games, and then that coming out. Monday's show will be insane. Before we end though, is there anything else that you can think of?
No, I mean I'm definitely excited to watch some conference championship week. Uh,
Always.
A lot of good games, a lot of fun stuff to see, and we'll see what all happens Sunday.
Yeah.
Excited for that, and then capping off college basketball week. Excited to watch the end of that, and
Yeah.
obviously didn't talk about it, but the ACC SEC challenge, the
Yeah,
SEC took that nine to
interesting.
seven.
Yeah, we'll get to that Monday. We'll have a lot
Yeah.
else to talk about. That's why we didn't cover college basketball tonight was because we wanted a full week of games because there's a lot of good games this weekend. If you don't know the games to go watch, go back to our last episode on Monday and listen to us talk about some of the games that are great this week. But yeah, come Monday we will talk about college basketball, talk about
and
the
and a
playoffs.
big portion being
Yes,
that
a
college
big
football.
portion. That will probably be the only two things to talk about, honestly, college
Oh yeah.
football and college basketball. Um, yeah, yeah. Other than that, I think we covered everything tonight. Obviously went through some NHL, some MLB, some NFL, and obviously a lot of college football. So yeah, we'll see you Monday to talk about the ultimate big thing of the year so far, college football.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
hope to
yeah.
see you then.
Oh yeah. Can't wait.